Kiva's first 5 years, on Kiva, looks something like this. So we started in '05, and basically, in that first year, we raised about $500,000 on the website. And then in 2006, we raised $2 million on the website. And the big thing that happened here is that in October 2006, Muhammad Yunus won the Nobel Peace Prize, which overnight made microcredit a kitchen table word.
In the last 5 years, Kiva has raised $170 million for microfinance lending, focusing on the developing world and reaching out to entrepreneurs and students in places like Afghanistan, Indonesia, and Rwanda. To give a sense of the distance traveled, in its first year, Kiva raised $500,000. Now the nonprofit raises about $1 million every 6 days. Pramal Shah likes these numbers, but he's anxious about the next 5. He knows today's web is very different than the one from 2005, and that Kiva's competition has changed.
I think our biggest competitor is actually probably Zynga. You know, it's not other nonprofits, it's actually competing for people's attention. That fantasy football player in Canton, Ohio, who might play 2 hours of Farmville at night, how do we get them to think about Uganda and the role that their $25 can make in Uganda? Not as a donation, but as a loan that they actually can get back and pull out of the system. If building a real farm on Kiva can be as compelling as building a virtual farm on Facebook, then I think we've done our jobs really well.
When you look at Kiva's website, you know, it's been fairly the same over the last few years. It doesn't scream out game mechanics or really the social area of the web. So how do you create that to be more engaging? What are some ways that you're trying to change it, and when do you expect to roll out some of those changes?
So you can imagine us creating simple things like leaderboards. So leaderboards by, you know, who's the top lender in San Francisco. You can imagine us actually creating badges. So for example, a 4 basic food groups badge. If you lend to a business that sells meat, lends to one that sells dairy, like a dairy farmer, lend to a vegetable farmer, and lend to a fruit grower, you know, you get the 4 food groups badge. You can imagine us creating kind of different ways of personal achievement being realized on the website. I think that, you know, one of the most compelling things that we can do is giving people a sense that by small actions in the present moment, they can really affect the lives of someone else. So beyond just the gaming mechanic, it's really kind of making sure that the feedback loop between the person that they're trying to help is really strong and broad, and that you're getting more and more information from that person.
When do you think people are going to look at Kiva and realize it's a completely different site?
I think depending on the number of developers and engineers and talented people we can get in the product department, you know, it could be as short as a year. And you know, that's one of the problems I think with philanthropy, is that things can take a little longer because the ability to attract incredible talent here in the Valley when there's so many other more lucrative careers is challenging.
That could be Kiva's toughest battle, finding the technical talent to quickly build the new social, gaming, and mobile layers. Kiva has 10 engineers today. Shah believes that's too little.
One of the big constraining factors in terms of justice or poverty alleviation when I go around the world is that there's a lot of people who want to do good, but they don't actually know how to write code or software that can make their processes more efficient. We see that branch offices in rural West Africa don't talk to each other because they're not connected by a local area network, or a wide area network. I mean, we see management information systems that try to track loan data completely in paper and pencil, or maybe sometimes in Excel, but it really needs to be a more robust system. And so one of the things that we'd like to create more awareness around is the role of software developers in actually improving the world and giving them real opportunities to do that. I think Kiva could benefit from doubling or tripling its engineering staff in the next few years because there's so many ways that software can actually make doing good more efficient.
Why do you think there's been this difficulty or this inability to get as many engineers as you want? What do you think Kiva has missed in its messaging or the way it's targeted engineers?
You know, I think that part of it is people, when they think about nonprofits, it's kind of something that you do once a year, maybe around the holidays. A lot of us in the back of our minds, you know, wanted to do something all our lives, but only after something happens, you know, like once I retire type thing. I actually think that there's a growing consciousness, just maybe people aren't aware of the opportunities, but there's a growing consciousness of a lot of people who are talented developers or product managers who want to do something like Kiva, just didn't know that the opportunity exists. And so one of the key messages for us to get out there is that we are actually hiring. There's a lot of social enterprises in the Valley and abroad that are actually trying to hire talented engineers.